on this cloudy Wednesday, and you're tuned into the Mid Morning Talk with me, Fazila Isaac, on Salam Media. It is now time for our Islamic Careline, where we speak to Anisa Moosa, who tells us about the current challenges that are being experienced by men. Assalamu alaikum, Anisa.
Alaikum salam to you and all the listeners this morning.
Jazakallah for joining us today.
Jazakallah for having me. It's been a while. I think I haven't been on Salam Media for Islamic Airline for a while.
Always nice to have you back. So let's kick right into it. When we speak about, the challenges that men are experiencing, why has there been an increased focus on men and, their mental health, etc., in the recent years?
I think it's a month that's devoted. So actually, the month of November was actually initiated. It's referred to as Movember, although technically it has something to do with the mustache and brave men being supported by women in their plight and focus and awareness around their mental health, even physical health, particularly with regards to cancer, um, and with mental health in relation again to suicide. There's particular emphasis around that. Apparently, three-quarters of suicides are male. Um, but that's something that in the coming in the coming weeks during November, Islamic Careline will be focusing on specific topics around men and depression and suicide, men and GBV, men and HIV. So those are some of the things that you can look forward to. But particularly around today's topic, I think with so much emphasis being placed on women and even children, um, men often get sidelined. And I think for me, it's more than just giving men a month, um, to focus on their challenges. But I think the importance of remembering that the relationship between the genders are important for the well-being of families and individuals. And we cannot do that. We cannot achieve holistic well-being if we don't bring men into the fold of, um, you know, uh, holistic well-being of our society, because they form an integral and very, very important part of society.
So, what are some of the challenges that men seem to be experiencing currently?
Okay, so I'm just going to mention some of the issues or some of the factors that we need to take into consideration, right? And I think the bulk of it stems from the fact that men are expected to be a certain way, the way they've been socialized, or the way genders have been socialized, the way we've been raised differently. And I think with men particularly, there's the emphasis on being brave, being strong. There's also a lot of expectation placed on men. So we don't always give it importance, but I think there's a great deal of pressure. We're living in competitive times. The cost of living is high, culturally, even religiously, traditionally. There are expectations and demands placed on men as in some cases as providers, as fathers, head of the household. That's also another issue when it comes to single fathers and the struggles that single fathers face when raising their children after divorce. Um, and then also when we look at roles and responsibilities. But I think one of the biggest things for me, again, when it comes to the expectations, especially in relation to our socioeconomic circumstances at the moment, with the increase of poverty, unemployment, retrenchment, the stresses that go with that. So that would again also impact on mental health and even physical health.
And are there ample support systems in place that assist men?
Sorry, are they?
Are there ample support systems? Are there enough support systems out there, with these challenges that men have to go through? Where can they seek these, support systems?
Okay, so there are support systems. I think for me, it comes down to, are men open to using or accessing those support structures and resources? I must say my own observation and experience being in the counseling field over the years is that men have become a lot more open to reaching out to counseling services, reaching out for help. And in fact, just on Facebook, I saw um, something the other day um, that looks something like this, and it says that men need to know that it's okay to talk about their feelings, it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to break down, it's okay to cry, it's okay to need support, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to go for therapy, and it's also okay not to be okay. And I think that's an important message because, again, I'm going to emphasize, the way we've been raised to think that there's something wrong with you if you reach out for help. I think when there's stigma attached, then people fall back from reaching out for help. So, yes, there are counseling services like the Islamic Careline, these various NGOs. People are making use of more private therapy, these life coaches, these psychologists. Um, there's so many different methodologies nowadays. But yeah, they are. And in fact, support groups are something that men can also tap into. In fact, if men out there are open to attending support groups, they're more than welcome to um, approach the Islamic line, make suggestions about what their needs are around counseling, what kind of support group, what kind of project. Because we also, as an NGO, also require the input of community members, so that when we put together programs for different groups and target groups, it comes from and is based on the needs of those specific groups.
And you speak about the stigma that exists. Why do you think such a stigma exists? Do you think that we ask too much of men, where we sit and think, what, you're supposed to be strong, you're not supposed to cry, all of these things? Why do you think this exists?
Again, I think it has to do with the way we've been socialized. Sometimes men are raised to believe that they crying is a sign of weakness. They stigmatized. Even I take for example, and it might come up when we cover GBV and men, but there are men who are being abused by their female counterparts. But that gets swept under the rug because obviously, the focus is on women abuse and child abuse because the prevalence is a lot greater. But there are men who are being abused, but they embarrassed to say. There's shame associated with it. What will people say? I'm a man. How can my wife hit me? Or how can my partner hit me? So it's associated with weakness. But on the flip side, it's also a sign of strength because there are men who will not lift their hands on a woman because he was raised to believe that men don't hit women. So that's just one example of the kind of thinking. And again, like I said, there is stigma attached. And then also it's about the identity. I'm a man. I should provide. I should do this. Look, at the end of the day, I do believe that, and like I said a little bit earlier in the program, it's about shared roles and responsibilities. Not only men are responsible for the well-being of our homes and the well-being of our society. It takes both, and I think we need to understand that even Islamic, we don't promote equality, but we promote equity. We are different. Each of us have a role to play in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our environment. And I think it again then comes to supporting one another. through those roles and those responsibilities and those functions. So basically, again, it comes from the stigma that's attached or the expectation that we have, or there's a certain, whether it's said or unsaid, the pressure to be a certain way, act a certain way. I mean, we all know, even today, we're living in such competitive times. You have to be successful. What does success mean? Success means that you're driving a nice car, you're living in a big house, you have a good job. If you don't have those things, then you're not successful. Success by some, measured by what I can provide for my family. If I can give, if I can't give, if I can't give, I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. And I haven't even brought in the role of addiction. So, there's so many dynamics and variables that play into one another. But essentially, when it comes to men, a lot of it is influenced by the thinking and the stigma and stereotypes that's associated.
We're going to take a quick short break. When we come back, we'll continue to unpack on this. Stay tuned.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
I've been ungrateful for much of my life. I wasn't faithful for all this time. I feel ashamed, Lord, for the things I've done since I've been falling all this time. 'Cause I haven't had peace in so long, and I couldn't seem to go on, but now I can feel it through you. And I will never, never forsake anything, and I'll follow this path back to you. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. I lost my way, Lord, left from your side when chasing this world. Didn't guard my eyes. I've been afraid for the things I've done, so now I'm calling you this time. So Allah, on this journey I come running to you. Oh, please put my heart at ease. Oh Allah, bring me to you. 'Cause I've been falling for all my life. I've been waiting for you now. 'Cause I haven't had peace in so long, and I couldn't seem to go on, but now I can feel it through you. And I will never, never forsake anything, and I'll follow this path back to you. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. Oh Lord, my heart couldn't see all the truth of this life. I was caught in this world with a seal on my eyes. Then Allah, you showed me all the truth of this life. Now I'll follow this path till the end of my time. 'Cause my heart couldn't see all the truth of this life. I was caught in this world with a seal on my eyes. Then Allah, you showed me all the truth of this life. Now I'll follow this path till the end of my اللهم إني أسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم إني أسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم إني أسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
لا تقل لي وحدي أو كيف
Humanity sets the agenda.
تصنع المستحيل.
The time is 12:18 and you're tuned into the mid-morning talk with me, Fazila Isaac, on Salam Media. We are joined by Anisa Moosa from Islamic Careline, who is speaking to us about the challenges that men face. Anisa, what would the appropriate age be to start speaking to males regarding, mental health issues?
Okay, so mental health, I know just on that note, right? So, if you look at the way we socialize, obviously, gender-related education comes from a very, very young age, but specifically around mental health, I think we can groom or we can educate the boys, young boys, in the way we are. So, obviously, we won't necessarily talk about mental health for young boys in the same way that we would as they grow older. But basically, what I'm saying is those kind of messages about, good mental health starts from a young age. So whether we communicate effectively with them, whether we ask them for feedback in their opinion, whether we teach them the importance of a healthy self-image and building assertiveness, whether we mold their thinking into, creating positive thinking and, this whole thing about free thinking. Obviously, there's boundaries to even the free thinking when it comes to children, but the idea is to develop their thought processes positively, to build their self-esteem, confidence. Those all start with the whole parenting approach and how adults around them, even simple things like the way we raise our girls and the way we raise our boys, the values stay the same. So those are methods from a young age. As they get older, I think from 10 now, children are developing very quickly mentally. They're exposed to social media. They're exposed to so many things. There's bullying and all of that. So there's added variables again. So it needs to start a little bit early, but from, like I said, when they're young, we're molding their thinking so that they develop into healthy adults, the importance of eating, sports, healthy lifestyles. It's all holistic, even in terms of healthy family values, healthy relationships. All those things, a lot of work. It starts from parents, it starts from our society. But in terms of actual mental health and awareness, I know the Careline this year has initiated webinars for teens and their parents, both male and female, where they did adjustment from being a child to being adults. And mental health is an important thing. October, we focused on mental health amongst teens. So from the age from around 12 already, maybe even earlier, because remember, children can also start consenting to therapy. So, those things will come into play as soon as they start understanding. But I suppose what I'm saying is that the methods we use would change. The way we talk about actual awareness programs, webinars, and education would start when we're teens, or it could start a little bit before that. but again, in terms of shaping their thinking and enabling healthy mindsets from a young age, that can happen from as early as childhood.
And how impactful do you think it would be to have systems in place that can actually improve the conditions of, men?
Okay, sorry, maybe I'm not understanding when you say structures in place.
Yeah, like
Um,
systems like to assist men to better their mental health. How what do you think, what impact do you think that would actually have on society? Do you think it would improve conditions? Do you think people, men would be more open to coming and joining these forums, etc., and seeking the assistance?
Definitely. I think also when we do that, we're sending out the message that we're not only focusing on women. And I think one of the biggest problems with that is when we say we're focusing mainly on women, men start to become resentful towards women and say, why is the emphasis only on women? We also have issues. And so you also get that lack of cooperation or that reluctance to want to assist programs focus only on women because there's this almost like we giving importance to one and not to the other. So I think that again is an implied message when we put together systems that support men who are struggling, because then we're not saying that we're choosing gender, one gender is more important than the other, because there are needs um, from both. They may be different, they may be similar. Like I said, when it comes to things like anxiety, depression, even OCD, men also struggle with their emotions. And it's important that we put it into place. And I'm thinking, like I said earlier, from what I've observed through the years of the Careline, is that there's definitely a shift. Men are recognizing that they're struggling emotionally. They are reaching for help. And I think that if we put those systems and we emphasize them, we make them more accessible and promote them, I think that men would be more open to using them. And I think that the benefit will be great, not just to them as individuals or as males, but to society, to families, to communities all around. We know that anger is an emotion that a lot of people struggle to restrain and contain. It's an emotion that sometimes it can be volatile. We all struggle, but it's an emotion where you can easily lash out, but it's often underlying stuff. And we often say someone has anger issues. We have to go for anger management. But it's something that can change. But if the needs and the emotions are addressed, and we understand where it's coming from, that's a simple thing. And we know that again in South Africa, we're living in a very angry society. Road rage is rampant, abuse is rampant. So, I really think, to answer your question, I think that it can make a big difference. And I've always been of the opinion that we will not know until we try. It is our responsibility as a society to at least try to address those issues. We cannot say later, we will actually be failing if we say that, we don't think it will make a difference. We have to at least give it a shot and try, and then we can see. But my honest opinion is that I do believe that if systems are put into place, yes, they will be used and they can make a difference. It may not change the world overnight, but I do believe that it will make a difference.
Fantastic. Inshallah, hopefully, men do come forward and they do seek this assistance that they need, inshallah, and it will better the situations that we have. Jazakallah so much, Anisa, for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Very,
Can I
very
just
enlightening.
can I just can I just add on one note, right? So
Of
if
course.
there are men out there who are interested in even becoming counselors, we do need male facilitators, counselors, volunteers, males, because you may get some men who are more comfortable speaking to men. I'm sure you would understand that. And also, if there are men out there who have ideas, who have suggestions, please call the Islamic Careline. It would help our service delivery and to make it more relevant and to make it have more greater impact. We will appreciate your input. Jazakallah.
Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, Anisa.
Wa alaikum salam.
We're going to take a quick short ad break, and when we come back, we will be speaking to Claire, who will be talking to us about PCOS. Stay tuned.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world.